Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 techniques for mastering your own mind for success. Now I believe that this video has the potential to really allow you to change the deep-rooted beliefs that you have about yourself, understanding and having the awareness for the way that your mind personally works so that then you can allow it to work for you. Now, understand that the basis for this video is going to involve understanding that our beliefs are creating our reality. That more important than what we call the law of attraction or the secret is understanding that the model for the way we see the world, that the meaning that we prescribe to the way that we are will have a massive effect over what we experience in our life. Now, this will also be in the understanding that things in our life are inherently neutral, meaning that the events that happen to us, we prescribe the meanings as to things being good, or we prescribe the meanings as to things being bad. But we can change those meanings based upon how we represent it and how we relate to it. Now, the first technique has the ability to really change the representation for any subject that you choose. Now, this means that around any idea we have, whether it be the idea of money, it be the idea of relationships, or it be the idea of doing our passion for a living, around any of these subjects, we have certain beliefs about it, beliefs that we've obtained in the past. We have certain visual perspective for the way we see these things, and those determine how we relate to them. So right now, I'd like to ask you the question, what are your beliefs about money? What visual representation comes to mind when you think about money? Do you envision the self-image for yourself as having a lot of money? Does it flow into your life easily? Do you have certain memories of an auditory experience? Maybe you remember your mom saying that money doesn't grow on trees. How do you visually represent money? The idea is that there's going to be certain things that you remember from your past, there's going to be certain things you expect in your future, and there's just a simple way that you relate to the idea of money. Same thing for relationships. What are your beliefs about relationships? Does it come into your life easily? Do you find yourself attracting the right person? Whatever it is, realize there's a certain visual representation. There might even be auditory or a feeling that you get when you think of it. Now, there are ways that each of us, and this is where the awareness comes in, that each of us process information. Some of us are more visual, meaning that we see things, we're able to see memories, we're able to see that imagery very clear. Some of us are very auditory, that's like me. I hear things that would have happened in that memory. I am able to hear the sounds and hear my own thoughts. Then there are kinesthetic, people that are able to feel into it and kind of bypass both of those altogether. Now, whatever it is, what you can do is you can change the representations of what things mean to you by simply changing the visual perception, by simply changing the visual representation, changing the auditory representation, or changing the kinesthetic for the way you feel about it. So take the idea of money. If you want to change your belief about money, what you can do is change the self-image that you have, the vision that you get for the kind of memories you have for it. You can change the beliefs that you have just by simply putting in a new picture or putting in and wiring in new sounds of what you would hear about it, new thoughts about it. And what you can do is you can either associate with what you want to experience or disassociate from prior memories that you don't want to experience. Now, to do this, I want you to imagine the belief that you might have that doesn't serve you anymore. Maybe it's certain memories of the past of you not having enough to pay your bills or losing amount of money in whatever way that happened. Look at that representation, if it is your dominant one, and start to disassociate from it, meaning that you don't see it through first person anymore. Start to see it as if you're looking in on it. Start to realize that it, from a certain point, has been a repetitive pattern that's been on autopilot. And what you can now do is see that image going more and more distant from you. It was something that was right in front of you. See it as getting dimmer and dimmer. And if you're somebody that is more auditory, feel and hear the sounds going more and more faint. It's almost like you're turning the volume down on it. Now, what you do as you do this technique is you are changing the way that you relate to what you're looking at. If you want to wire in feeling more abundant and having money flow easier into your life, envision a memory of your past of money coming to you or of something you want to experience in the future. And imagine that. And what you can use is use your senses to feel as if it already happened. Make that vision bigger and bigger and louder and louder. And as you do this, you are changing the way that you relate to your representation of money or of relationships. Imagine the prior way that you looked at relationships, the prior frames that you would see, and start to see them going more and more dim. Start to hear the volume go more and more down on them. And then what you can do is simply insert what you would prefer, insert that, and know that as you make it brighter and brighter and more 3D, that can easily become the representation for the way that you see the world. You see, what we're doing is we're changing the dominant frames for the way that we see things, and that is changing our own state of being. We are starting to associate more with what we want to experience rather than what we don't want to experience. And the simple way to do this is to change the auditory, the visual, and the kinesthetic representations for how we see the world by understanding that our beliefs are a choice. There's something that maybe was on autopilot, but now we're becoming more aware of them. And what we can do is just simply ask the question, what would I have to believe is true about money to be getting the result I'm getting in my life? What can I believe instead? Then what we can do is see those images getting brighter and brighter. It'll change our internal state of being. We can hear the sounds getting louder and louder. And as we go through this process, we are making the predominant frames that we see more powerful and something that we can actually control. So this is about understanding what your kinesthetic is, what your predominance is when it comes to visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, and using that to wire in a much more grand image and something that you actually prefer. Now, the second mind technique has to do with understanding that everything in our life is a pattern. Patterns are what runs our life. Patterns are the habits that we have. Patterns are what controls our emotions. And when we become aware of this, what we can decide to do is that we are going to take responsibility for the patterns that we've already have going in our life. Now, to do this, what you can realize is that if you want to model success, what you can do is find people that are already successful in your field. If you're an artist, if you're a musician, if you are somebody that wants to run a business or currently running a business, what you can do is find people that are already doing it and literally model your patterns off of them. See what they're doing. What are the beliefs? What are the representations for the way they see the world? The best way to do this is to simply find their autobiography. Find something, get inside their mind, and train your thoughts with theirs. And an autobiography is an easy way to do that because you are literally entraining your mind with the way that they think. What you can then begin to do is realize that the more you find these patterns, the more you become aware of patterns that aren't serving you, you can then develop ones that are more powerful and that actually work for you by studying it. Study the people that are already successful. See the things they do in their daily lives. Maybe there's a certain way they carry themselves. Maybe there's certain daily routines they have. The more that you focus on these patterns and the more that you become aware of the patterns you already have, is the more you're going to take responsibility and take your power back. You can become more aware of the way you feel about certain things that you do. You can become aware that everything in life is fundamentally neutral, and that when you find patterns that work for you, you'll start to see that you develop momentum in your life. This is something that I've done. I've been studying successful people. I've been studying people that have a certain work ethic, and what I do is I simply model my behavior, I model my actions to it, and the more I take action with it, the more I model that in the representation of who I am. It's just part of my self-image. The more you repetitively do anything, the more that will become a part of you. The more that self-image will become a part of you. So all you have to do is find somebody that is already successful in what you want to do. You'll see that they have certain rituals they do. You'll see that they have certain patterns they consistently do. They have certain behaviors they do. And as you look at it, simply decide you're going to do some of those every day, and every day you can sync up with it more and more. Read their autobiography, and as you do that, you are literally entraining your own mind to become more like them, and that will then help you get a similar result in your life. Now, the third technique has to do with understanding that we have the ability to turn the volume down of our own mind. And I mean this quite literally. This is an NLP technique that you can use in order to quiet your own mind and to stop overthinking. So much of the time we believe that our thoughts have power over us. But what I want to do right now is help you understand that what you can do is get to the core of the definition you have for if you are somebody that overthinks. Are you an overthinker? Do you have a self-image that says that you have the power over your own mind? Or do you find yourself believing that your mind is consuming you? Now, I don't like the words power over our own mind because it implies dominance and it implies us dominating the ego. The ego is quite necessary. The ego is necessary for us to determine our goals, what we want, but the idea is that we want to work with it rather than against it. Now, the first step to this is to become aware of your self-image for are you an overthinker? Because sometimes we'll be so focused that we are an overthinker that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. First off, understand that as you become aware of your thoughts, as you observe your thoughts more neutrally, that will have less power over you. Now, the next step is that if you believe that you're an overthinker, what that may mean is that what you are doing is you are what that might mean is that you are auditory representing your thoughts as very powerful, very loud, and it's hard for you to hear through it. What you can do is to start to hear your thoughts as if the volume is turning down and down and down. And as you do this NLP technique, what you'll find is that as you turn it down in your own mind, you'll hear the thoughts less and less. They will have less power over you. And what you can then begin to do is to simply have more clear thinking. Another hack I have for this is to simply listen for the silence. Become more present in your body. And this is something that I learned from the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It's about understanding that as we bring the awareness out of the head and into the body, we will then start to feel more present and the overthinking begins to go away. You can't feel the sensation in your hands, in your heart, in your chest, in your legs. Just right now with me, bring the sensation from your head into your hands. Just simply bring the awareness into your hands. Bring it into your chest and feel into your heart. And as you do this right now, you'll realize that you can't overthink in your head while your intention is feeling and while you're putting the awareness there. The idea behind this is as you do this, you're creating space within you. You're creating a gap. And that gap is where all the power is. The more you listen for silence, the more you will hear it. The more you listen for your thoughts and the more you put the attention on it, the louder and louder it gets. The idea behind this is to turn the volume down by imagining yourself turning the volume down and hearing your thoughts less and less. Remember, the 3 techniques that you can apply to master your own mind involves first off understanding that you can change the representation for the way you see the world by simply getting any subject that you want to change. You can disassociate from your current images that you see or sounds that you hear. You can start to associate with what you would prefer to hear, turn up the volume on it, see the brighter and brighter ones that you prefer. That will begin to change your beliefs about who you are. Secondly, what you can do is develop patterns of success by modeling people that have already been successful, reading their autobiography, and that as you begin to do that, you will literally start to get similar results. And then thirdly, you can turn down the volume of your mind and the overthinking by literally turning down the volume in a model metaphor type way. At the same time, start to view yourself as somebody that can hear the silence, somebody that doesn't overthink as much, somebody that has a clear mind. And as you start to do these 3 things, it can profoundly change your life. I encourage you to do these for the next 21 days and see how it profoundly changes your life and how you become a better person because of it. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you guys on the next vid. Peace, much love, namaste.